The Holy Trinity Had One by Chris A. Smith. I backed into mindfulness the way many people do. Desperate, exhausted, the whole catastrophe of life thing. And with this nagging suspicion that everyone else knew what they were doing, except me. This suspicion, it turns out, was accurate. As I looked around, it became clear that everyone had something I did not have. Plus, I noticed that the Holy Trinity of mindfulness had one. John Kabat-Zinn had one. Sharon Salzberg had one. Jack Kornfield had one. What didn't I have? And no, it wasn't inner peace. Any guesses? It was a meditation mat, a cushion, a zabuton. I carried a secret belief, one I'm not particularly proud of, but I can admit to you today. I believed that if I owned a meditation mat, like the Holy Trinity, and everyone else, I wouldn't just belong to this cool, elite club. I would become a meditator. Possibly, down the road, a wise teacher. And maybe, just maybe, in a few years, enlightened. What do you think? Do you see how deluded I was? Spoiler alert, still am. But regardless, I had to have one. I Googled meditation mats. They were easy enough to find. What surprised me was there wasn't just one kind. There were options. There were different shapes, different thicknesses. It felt a little like shopping for a mattress or yogurt. Some were so thin they seemed more like a suggestion than a cushion. I didn't even consider those. I already knew I was not going to be one of those ascetic meditators, the kind who sits effortlessly for hours, legs folded like origami. No, that was not going to be my path. Instead, I chose the thickest mat available, the plush one, the Cadillac of cushions. I suspected it might delay enlightenment, but I was willing to take that risk. When I clicked payment accepted, I was gleaming, bright as freshly waxed mala beads. A few weeks later, it arrived, and while it wasn't the 10 Commandments coming down from Mount Sinai, it was close. I took it out of the box, expecting light to pour out. Maybe a hum, possibly a faint choir of angels. I was genuinely excited, inspired. This feeling, though, lasted about 10 minutes. One of the biggest problems with my meditation mat was that it didn't do anything. It just lay there like a supersized flat Stanley. I expected something more, greater ease, deeper concentration, no knee pain, a spiritual upgrade of some kind. Instead, nothing. I checked the invoice, assuming I had ordered the wrong mat, but no, the mystical weave of polyester and cotton came with no returns. It was, in fact, more silent than my mind. Meanwhile, my knees still hurt. My mind still raced. And the mat continued to offer no refunds. I began to wonder if John, Sharon, and Jack had pulled a fast one on me. As time went on, things actually got worse. My mind didn't get quieter. It got louder. It sounded less like a peaceful mountain lake and more like a daycare center of 2-year-olds on espresso and flaming hots. Still, I dragged that mat to retreats all over the Midwest, with the same results, same busy mind, same sore knees. No enlightenment. The closest I ever came to awakening had nothing to do with the cushion or even meditation. It happened at home. My 3 sons invented a game. While I was meditating on the Cadillac of cushions, their goal was to sneak up behind me and tip me over, like cow tipping. They kept score. I'll give you one guess who was losing. Forget it, I won't even give you that. The upside was that I became incredibly attentive to sound. Not in a spiritual way, but more in a survival way. Put me in a forest, and I swear I could hear a 5-legged spider climbing a 40-foot pine tree. If only I could have channeled that level of attention into my meditation, I might not be here today. I might be sitting on a stage with John, Sharon, and Jack. But that was not to be. And full confession, I strayed. The mat became something else. A dog bed for our Pomeranian. A shield when grandchildren charged me like small, determined rhinos. A seat cushion for a wooden chair. And, if I'm truthful, on more than one occasion, a defensive weapon when all 3 boys attacked me at once. Truthfully, hitting my children as if they were human ping-pong balls was one of the more exhilarating experiences I had with that mat. Now, nearly 30 years later, my mind still sounds like a food court at the local mall. I still sit on that mat most mornings. It just lies there. I'm not enlightened. My knees still hurt. But the mat never did what I hoped it would. It just sat there, which, it turns out, was the lesson.